Good morning. This is Lars Olson, and this is today's Quiet Echo. In the summer of 1856, a man named Levi Savage stood up in a meeting at Florence, Nebraska, and said the unpopular thing. Now, Savage was no stranger to hard country. He had just come home from 4 years as a missionary, halfway around the world and back again. And he stood there and looked at the two companies about to start west, the Willie and the Martin, and he saw them clear. Hundreds of people. A lot of them old. A lot of them women with small children in their arms. About to walk 1,300 miles across the plains, pulling everything they owned in the world behind them, in carts built out of green, unseasoned wood. And then he looked at the calendar, and he knew it was too late in the year, so he said so, plainly, out loud, in front of everybody, and they voted him down. So Savage said the other thing. And this is the part I cannot stop turning over in my head. He told them, well, since you are all going forward, then I am going with you. I will work alongside you. I will suffer right alongside you, and if it comes to it, I will die with you. And then he bent down, and he picked up the handle of a cart, and he went. One of the company captains wrote it down later. Levi Savage, the very man they had scolded for telling the truth, turned out to be the best help the whole company had. Now, let me bring you the wood, because I am a hardware man, and I cannot help it. I know exactly what green lumber does. You cut a board before it has had time to dry, and it just keeps right on drying after you have built with it. It shrinks, it checks. It opens up every single joint you drove tight. And out on those dry high plains, the wheels went out of round, and the carts started to come apart. A little more every day, and the fixing of them ate up daylight nobody had to spare, and the daylight ran out, right into an early snow. What it cost, a survivor named John Kislet wrote down plainer than I ever could. Many a father, he said, pulled his cart with his own little children riding on it, until the day before he died. Sit with it a minute. Picture the arithmetic of it. A man too weak to walk, and walking anyway, because the two small faces in the cart cannot pull it, and there is nobody else to do it. So he does it one more day, and then one more, until the morning comes when he does not wake up. Around 250 of those people never reach the valley at all. But here is the truer part of the whole story. Here is the part which came the other way. When the word finally reached Salt Lake the companies were down, men loaded up wagons and drove east, straight into the same storm which was killing the pioneers. And they reached the Martin Company at the Sweetwater River, a river 40 feet across and running full of ice. Now think what it takes to stop a person cold at a spot like this. These were people who had already buried their own along the trail and kept on walking. And they stood on the bank, and they could not make their own legs carry them into the water. It was one thing too many. And a handful of young men from the rescue party waded right into the river and carried them across on their backs and in their arms. Not the whole company, mind you, the way the story sometimes grows in the retelling. Some of the pioneers waded across on their own frozen feet. Some rode across in the wagons. But the ones who had nothing left in them, those young men carried, back and forth, until it was finished. And when one worn-out woman tried to thank the young man who had carried her, he just waved her off. We have come to help you, he said. Nothing more. I want to say one more thing about Levi Savage before I let you go. He was right. He had told them it was too late, and he had been proven right in the hardest way a man can be. And you never once hear, in a single account, of Savage turning around in the snow and saying, I told you so. He just pulled his cart, and he lifted the weak, and he spent himself on the very people who had voted him down. Being right gave him no rest from the work. It only bound him tighter to it. And here is the thing the bishop in me holds on to hardest. Some of the very people who were carried up out of the snow spent the rest of their own lives loading wagons for whoever was down next. They had felt those arms close around them at the river, and they never forgot the worth of it. So, on the far side of Pioneer Day, I keep thinking about two kinds of men. One is Levi Savage, who did the work honestly, who told the plain truth about it, who was overruled, and picked up the cart, and pulled it all the way to the end regardless. And the other is the young man at the Sweetwater, standing waist deep in the ice with somebody's frozen weight in his arms, and nothing to say about any of it except, come on now, we have got you. You want to be both of them. Build your cart honestly. Say the plain true thing, even on the days they vote you down. And when the cart breaks anyway, and I promise you it will, walk on into the cold water, and carry whoever cannot make the crossing on their own. Build it right, and go back for the ones who could not. The front porch is open. Who told you the true thing when you did not want to hear it? Or who waited in for you? Come and tell us. And if we get something wrong, tell us, and we will run the correction. The readers of the Cedar Valley News are gathering to share their stories and keep company with respect and no party lines. Come sit with us. I will put the link in the show notes. This is Lars Olson, your host for today's Quiet Echo. Thanks for listening. Quiet Echo is part of the fictional Cedar Valley News series, written by Evan Swenson, publisher, and Claude Marshall, AI developmental editor. While the town of Cedar Valley is fictional, the people named here are real. In 1856, the Willie and Martin Handcart Company set out for the Salt Lake Valley, dangerously late, with many handcarts built of green unseasoned wood after seasoned lumber ran short at Iowa City. Levi Savage, a returning missionary and sub-captain, warned at Florence the season was too late, was overruled, and went with the company anyway. A fellow captain later credited him as its best help. Survivor John Kislett recorded how many a father pulled his cart, with his little children on it, until the day before he died. Roughly 250 pioneers died. At the ice-filled Sweetwater River, young men from the rescue party carried the weakest across, while others waded or crossed in wagons. Historians, including Chad Orton in BYU Studies, note the popular tale of 3 teenagers carrying the entire company and dying of it is largely folklore, since the named rescuers lived long lives. Sources include BYU Studies, the Wyoming State Historical Society, and the Historical Record of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open. This is Cedar Valley News.